Max, let's go to the Dairy Max Built by Nature hotline and bring in the head coach of the unbeaten, unblemished 3-0 Arlington Colts. We are joined by Coach Scott Peach. Coach, how are you?
Greg, I'm great, man.
How are things in beautiful Arlington, Texas?
Things are awesome in Arlington. We are 3-0 in non-district, and we get to start district this week with Trimble Tech, and we get to do it for homecoming and our first home game for the year. So we're excited.
Yeah, that's an odd thing. You kind of your first real home game of the year. You've been road warriors so far this year. What do you think it's going to be like coming home and finally playing a game at home?
Well, we don't love to travel at Arlington High School. But we love to come to the home games, and so the fact that this will be our first pep rally this week, the fact that it's homecoming with all our alumni, which we have one of the best in the state of Texas, and with the fact that nobody's wanted to travel an hour and 15 minutes to come watch us play, I think it's going to be an awesome environment. And the other nice thing is that the weather's going to be beautiful. It's supposed to be about 80 degrees for the high, and so I'm expecting a big crowd.
Well, it's about time we get some good weather around here.
Well, we haven't made it through Friday night yet. I've sat through a few rain delays the last several weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure. Coach, you guys come away last week with a really impressive 44-34 win over a good Mesquite Horn team that's coming off of the heels of good wins over Jesuit and Byron Nelson. You guys have played some tough teams. What do you think you've learned about your team through your non-district schedule?
Well, the first thing is we are very resilient. We were down in 2 of the 3 games at halftime, and the only game we're ahead of, we scored on the last play of the half against Jesuit to go up 24-22. But we have really closed second quarters really well. We've come out and played great football early in the third, and then we've been good finishers. We played great football in the fourth quarter, and all 3 wins, the games could have gone either direction. So I attribute that to some maturity. I attribute it to really good experience on our football team, and then a lot of resiliency of just wanting to win and knowing we can.
Coach, you mentioned kind of the experience that you guys have, and yet a lot of the guys who have stepped up for you, especially on the offensive side, have been underclassmen. Your quarterback, Jahari Rogers, just a junior. B.J. Rogers, the running back, is a sophomore. Was there a concern in the offseason or coming into the season about some of the youth you had offensively, or did you know you had a few playmakers up your sleeve?
Well, first thing, DeMonte Davis at quarterback last year and Kenlon McCray at tailback were as explosive as it was in the area. So losing those two to graduation for sure was a concern. We also lost our entire offensive line. So all 6 kids, 5 linemen and the tight end right now, and then the quarterback and tailback, none of those kids had played a varsity football game other than the quarterback, and he was playing receiver last year. I don't think it was a concern, but it was going to be a situation where we had a lot of work to do. We're throwing the ball really effectively right now. The biggest deal is where it's showing up right now is our running game, just as far as our inexperience. But we're getting better every week, and if we want to be elite, we're going to have to get to where we run the ball well, and we will get there.
We're talking with Scott Peach, the head coach of the Arlington Colts here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. Coach, there's a lot to like about your squad right now, but it seems to me, defensively for your team, it seems like, there are teams that are going to have better numbers maybe, but it seems like you guys have the knack for the big play at the big moment. Is that something you can teach, or is that just some instinctive playmakers defensively that are coming up big for you?
I absolutely think you can teach it. I think the best thing we're doing right now is that we have made awesome halftime adjustments settling into the ball game. And if you go back and look at it, we only gave up 3 points against Jesuit in the second half, 7 points to Nelson in the second half, and then Horn got 14 in the second half, but they're a really athletic football team. But we really settled into the ball game and played well, closing the football game out. Then the next thing is we worked the route combination all week to put Kyron White closing in on the dig route to steal it for the interception in the fourth quarter. And then same thing, we worked on undercutting the post route, and Tucker Thompson did that and went 77 yards for the interception return to win the game. And so that comes from coaching, and Coach Coates and the secondary, Coach Dibble, our defensive coordinator, pride themselves on that. So when those those plays happen, that was coaching. As far as Kyron White, Tucker Thompson, guys like that, that's that maturity I talk about with senior football players in the big moments that make the key plays and change the game around.
I'm glad you brought up Kyron White, because this guy, a 3-year starter defensively, he's a captain. He's one of the very few, maybe the only 3-year starter on your entire team. I know he's the only one on your defense. From him, obviously a fantastic playmaker, but just from his leadership ability, what is it about him that he brings to this team?
Well, he's so many things. First of all, he's a top 100 in his class out of 650 students. He has an electric personality to where guys just kind of rally around him. He loves the game of football. And so every day when he comes to practice, he takes it on to want to get better as a player. And then he's an amazing football player. He can tackle, he can run, he can steal the ball up in the air. And so San Diego State has a prize with getting him to play next year, but we're glad we have him right now.
We're talking with Scott Peach of the Arlington Colts here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. Coach, on the other side of the ball, quarterback Jahari Rogers has been a real revelation for you guys. I know we had him in studio on Fox Sports Southwest, and boy, I know he's a great football player, but I was sure impressed with him as a young man as well. For folks who may not be familiar with your junior quarterback, what can you tell us about him?
Well, first of all, I tell everybody he's the fastest kid at Arlington High School with 2,800 kids here. Mm-hmm. And that's exciting when he gets the ball in his hands every play. The thing that he's really developed well as is a pocket passer. I think he's number 3 in the area right now in passing yards. And his ability to stand in the pocket, his ability to see the defense well, and he just throws the ball beautifully, has been exciting to watch. And that's the piece of his game we didn't know that we had in the spring that we know now that we do. And those dual quarterbacks don't come around very often. But when you have one and you can keep them healthy, boy, it's a blessing for your football team. And then the last piece is, everybody feeds off of Jahari. We knew we had a quarterback in the spring when all of our offense just kind of followed him. And as he was energized and excited, they did the same. And like you said, very intelligent kid, well-spoken, very likable, and he makes us go right now on offense.
Yeah, the offense is really humming right now, and things are looking very good for you guys. You now kind of enter district play, and your district is a bit of a mixed bag here. On one hand, you're gonna, you're taking on, you can't take anybody lightly, but you guys are taking on, Trimble Tech and Pascal teams programs that are kind of still getting their feet underneath them. But you guys know full well down the line, Bowie, Martin, Lamar. As a coach, when you take a look at District 4, 6A, what you're going into right now, what are you seeing from your perspective?
Well, the biggest thing is we had to focus on us, and I think that's going to be the preaching point for the next few weeks. There's a lot of things that we got to get better at as a football team. We've got to run the ball better. We've got to defend the run better. We got to continue to improve in our passing attack and secondary play. And so we're going to focus on that. The other thing I'm going to talk to them about this week is the wow factor. And it's the deal of if we want to be elite, want to make a deep run to the playoffs, I want people to look at us, doesn't matter who we play, and say, wow. And it goes with our Griffin Kell as our kicker and punter right now. If you watch him play the game, it's a wow factor because he's very impressive. And I want to do the same when they watch us on defense and watch us on offense. And so that it's not a matter of who's across from us. It's a deal of when people get ready to play Arlington High School, they can watch us on film or they can scout us live and say, wow, that football team has it. And that's the focus that we're going to take over the next several weeks. And the other deal is we need to be playing our best football right now. Non-district was nice and we're 3-0, but we've been playing the game 6 weeks now, and every game moving forward all the way through the playoffs counts. So, making sure that the snapshot of who we thought we were going to be in the spring is what we ought to be getting right now going into October, November.
Coach, you've been at Arlington since 2002. Obviously, your name resonates around Arlington, both Scott Peach and the Peach name writ large. How have you seen this Colts program change since you took over in 2002?
Well, the biggest thing is it's mine now. And I say that because when you take over a program, there's a lot of things to it that doesn't really belong to you. But if you look at my staff now, 43 coaches on my staff, I've hired every one of them, and I'm so thankful to my 3 principals who've allowed me to have that kind of control here. But everybody that's here is because of me, and that makes it very comfortable because they're my people. They know the expectations that I have of how we approach kids every day at Arlington High, and that's been a blessing. The next deal is stability is key for the community. I think what every parent wants to know when they bring their kid up as a 3rd grader or a 7th grader is what it's going to look like when my child gets to Arlington High, and that stability of me being here for 16 years, most of my staff being with me during that time, it's exciting for them because they know what they're getting. And I think that stability is important. And at the same time, we won a lot of great battles in this city. And when you look at with Texas Live coming in and the new Rangers ballpark, with a MAC facility for all 6 high schools, with new junior high fields and lights going up, I've had a chance to be a part of a lot of those things to make our athletic culture better and make our city better. And that just draws people to want to come be a part of what's going on at Arlington.
It's an exciting time in Arlington, Texas. And Coach, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you that. I just pulled it up on Google Maps. It says that from Arlington High School to AT&T Stadium, it's a 10-minute drive. It's a long way away, still some work to be done. Have you thought about what kind of home field advantage you could have in a state championship game?
Oh, there's no doubt. We'd love to be there. Sign me up. And I think that's exciting too, is the opportunity for our kids to maybe have a chance to play in a playoff game. Our picture right now of our football team, we send out a poster every year, and it's got my top 20 players from last year on it for this year. And on it says Road to State, and it's all of our boys in front of AT&T Stadium. That's our ultimate goal. And our last goal on our vision board is number 9, and it says win a state championship. So absolutely, if we have an opportunity to do that, that would be a dream come true for us.
Well, you guys are off to a fantastic start, the 3-0 Arlington Colts and their coach, Scott Peach. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations again on your hot start. Best of luck coming up for homecoming against Trimble Tech and down the road.
Yeah, and Friday night, if I win, we'll have 100 victories. So it's kind of exciting time for us.
All right. It's exciting. Go get it on Friday night, Coach.
Thanks, Greg.
There he goes. Scott Peach, the head coach, the Arlington Colts. That was the first thing I thought of. I was like, man, if they play in a title game, he could walk. He could just walk over.
It's still kind of a long walk.
Yeah, it's 3 miles, but a nice warm-up.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
That's fair.
It's a nice warm-up.
Sure.
He could walk. Players wouldn't.
Right.
I'm sure if they get to a title game, Coach would be so excited he might float over there. So, anyway, we appreciate Coach Scott Peach hopping on with us. Exciting to see them. Arlington rising quickly. They're in our top 25 now, and they're probably now. Martin stumbled a bit. They're probably the favorite in that district, in District 4, 6A. I think it's there for the taking. It's probably them or Bowie. They're going to have that big matchup on October 12th. Man, suddenly October 12th is becoming a big weekend. But they are – look, I'll tell you, they're going to be no worse than a pick-em in each of their final games. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a shot at it. So.
Yeah, and if you remember, this is kind of the position they were in about midway through the season last year. They've been building towards this. Both them and Bowie, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is pretty exciting. Yeah,
and their quarterback, Jahari Rogers, is special. If you haven't seen him, he's putting up crazy numbers too. So we appreciate Coach Scott Peach hopping on with us.